G'day everyone and welcome to 7 Questions, a podcast that shares the stories and compelling lessons founders, investors and leaders shaping our economy. I'm your host, Gerard, founder and investor at Partner and co-founder of Ep8 Financial. Through 7 questions, we explore the founder journey, idea to legacy, uncovering the insights, lessons and defining moments that shaped each founder and the amazing business they built. Whether you're a first-time founder, serial entrepreneur, investor, or someone looking for insights on entrepreneurship and what it takes to build a world-class company, these conversations are designed to inspire you, get you thinking, and hopefully you'll find some timely wisdom that propels your journey. G'day everyone, welcome to this episode of 7 Questions. Can AI transform your organization? I'd say the answer is yes. And in today's episode, I speak with Shan Vahora, founder and CEO of ESG Agent.ai. Shan is an engineer by training and a global citizen, having lived and worked all over the world in industries like mining, oil and gas, consulting, engineering and tech. It's his lived experience and his passion for solving customer problems that was the genesis for Shan's AI company. AI is unlocking and applying computational power to deliver complex data collection, processing, and analysis tasks at a pace and level of detail that consultants can't compete with. ESG Agent is a great example of this. In this episode, we get inside the head of a founder that is truly building an AI-first company. The technology that's being adopted and used by some of the largest companies in Australia. This episode proves that you don't have to wait to adopt AI. It's being used right now in really practical ways to drive costs down and improve productivity, compliance, safety, and resilience in a range of industries. I hope you enjoyed this conversation with Shan. There's a stack of simple but practical takeaways. Let's jump in. Hey, Shan, it's great to have you on the pod.
Hey, Wayne, thank you so much for having me. It's a great opportunity.
Mate, it's awesome to have you here. Let's start by helping people get to know you. Who are you and what experiences or moments shaped your founder journey?
Yeah, so I'm an engineer by background, world citizen. You know, I've lived in India, lived in UK, America, Canada, and now in Australia. Being a global citizen has definitely had a lot of inspiration on my entrepreneurial journey now that I look back. It's about understanding different businesses that thrive in each of this country and taking what really makes them unique and what makes them successful into your own startup. And that has been definitely been one of the key experiences that has shaped me. Another one has been in consulting. So in my last 15 years, I've worked as consultant to major enterprises around the world, from your BHPs to Shell, Exxon Mobils and the Rio Tintos of this world. And again, you know, doing different kind of consulting work in different domains just helps you understand, you know, again, what is a good business model, what is working, what is not working, how can we, you know, use technology, innovation in a meaningful way that really creates value. And that has shaped me a lot. And then the last and the most pivotal one, I would say, is spending a year at a company called Intelli in America. So this was a very small startup that had just come out of Brazil and was starting to commercialize this product in the US. And I saw kind of firsthand how this small company went from 1 million in revenue to 10 million within 12 months. Had went from one client, Petrobras, to this amazing suite of Shell and Exxon and Chevron, and then actually got sold as well within those 12 months to a major enterprise listed on the stock exchange. And that really inspired me in terms of the impact the technology could have in ways that consulting can never do. And that was the last sort of inspiration to be like, I was desperate to start a company when I could.
Mate, that's fantastic. What a cool background. And being a global citizen certainly gives you a unique perspective from all the different companies that you've worked with in all the different locations you've been based and bringing those things together to create the tapestry of your, I guess, your founder journey is, it's a great launch pad for ESG Agent. So let's talk about ESG Agent and what inspired you to start your company. What problem are you solving, Shan?
The biggest problem we are solving for is that compliance, and in particular ESG compliance, is incredibly important, but it's been convoluted in a way that has lost the actual meaning of ESG. And I'll give you an example, right? So, we've got the National Greenhouse Emissions Reporting, which Australia has come up with as mandatory reporting for almost all the enterprises in Australia. Now, instead of you being used as this reporting mechanism where you can understand how much emissions do these companies produce and therefore go on this decarbonization journey, which makes Australia climate neutral, it has become this really convoluted reporting exercise for these companies where sustainability managers, ESG managers are going through mundane amount of data and bills and receipts and invoices to get the data that they need to do this reporting. And it's lost all meaning in terms of why or how or why we actually need this data in the first place. And I feel AI and AI agents have an amazing role, and it's the right technology to really help these sustainability professionals to do this reporting in a much more streamlined, much more easier way, and actually put the joy back into their jobs where they can really focus on the impact they can have. We can actually go on the decarbonization journey. We can actually have environmental impact that these professionals envisage they would have in their jobs, and which actually Australia needs to do as a country as well. And I truly believe in this mantra, and that's what ESG Agent is designed for. Take out this boring compliance-related work and really focus on impactful work that really shapes a nation and a country.
So it's clear you saw a real gap in the market where sustainability and environmental professionals were stuck doing all the admin. They spent hours and hours and hours combing through data to complete reports instead of doing what they trained in, which was to go and implement solutions that made the companies they work for more sustainable, more scalable, more competitive. And so ESG Agent is really about giving them their time back.
Absolutely.
Allowing them to focus on defining strategies and implementing strategies rather than collecting data and writing reports.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's understanding exactly what makes a sustainability manager's role boring and, and in terms of worthless tasks, and actually letting them focus on things that matter, on actions that matter, and will move the needle in our decarbonization journey.
So what unique insights or secret sauce or different approach are you taking to solve that problem for your customers? And why and how is that better than what else is in the market today?
So the way we've designed this is completely based on customer feedback. One of the, I think the corrections you're going to come to later on is, what unique thing you've sort of learned, which you had known beforehand before starting the journey. And that was to actually listen to the customers. I think, that's been a journey for me to actually just listen to the customers. What do they want? And go and build it. Customers know the best. They know their pain points more than anybody else. I can't guess it. No article on internet or ChatGPT can tell you what problems that they actually face. They will tell you what exactly the problems they are facing and what they need to be in order for this to be solved. So when we designed ESG Agent, we went and spoke to 50 different sustainability managers and ESG analysts and and head of reporting, and I sort of really drilled in to what were the problems they were facing, and there were sort of clear patterns there that they had problems with data collection. They had problems with data processing, with how this data gets managed over time and how this reporting gets completed as well. And there were clear and absolute pain points. And so the way we designed the software was to make this as easy for them as humanly possible. And they can take the really good parts of their jobs, the actual decarbonization parts, and implement them. And and honestly, there's no secret sauce that way. It is designed with user experience first, with pain points that matter to them, and a technology that actually just works. And the response we've got from the market has been a testament that what we build has been adopted by the market.
So your product's called ESG Agent.ai. What role does AI play in the delivery of the experience for a customer?
There are three main items which AI helps with. The first part is gap analysis. So when you are being compliant towards a framework, let's say a ASB framework or a TCFD or a mine safety framework, the first step to starting any journey is to understand where you stand at this point in time. Are you at 20% compliance? Are you at 5%? Or are you at 90%? And the first role that AI takes is in understanding that AI-led gap analysis. So you give it all your files, or you connect into your SharePoint where you actually keep your data, and the AI will crawl through hundreds of different types of files and give you an answer within minutes of what your gap analysis is. So, you're 80% compliant or 50% compliant. That's the first bit.
Didn't companies used to pay consultants and it would take months to do this stuff?
Absolutely. In mine safety, because it's such a massive and comprehensive framework, you could be looking at collecting, almost 500 to 1,000 different types of evidences. This exercise usually takes 9 to 12 months, where companies need to read the framework, read the evidence, read the reports to get this gap analysis report. And by the time you're complete, and 9 months ago, you're already non-compliant because things have changed in those 9 months as well. So absolutely, this used to take months and months before. So the second part of how our AI helps is actually understanding the quality of the evidences themselves as well. So yes, the AI does a great job in your gap analysis. But the second part of this is also understanding if those policies and those SOPs are actually good, and if they're being followed in the company itself. So that's the second part where AI really helps. It actually looks for evidences where you have followed the SOPs, the guidance documents, the policies, and reading hundreds of documents again to make sure that you have the right policies in place and they are being followed. And then the last and the final bit where AI really helps is actually doing the reporting itself. So it will, if you're doing a mine safety compliance, for example, it will do an automatic tracking of understanding of how does your compliance work over time. You're filling gaps, what your actions are, how what does that month end report look like. And the same thing with sustainability reporting as well. We help you actually create the reports that will be submitted to ASIC as a final submission. They're also generated by AI, 80% done, and you just need to add that last 20% and make that report your own.
Yeah, that sounds really comprehensive. Mate, let's shift gears a bit and let's think about the journey you've been on as a founder. What's one of the hardest decisions or challenges you've faced as a founder?
Without doubt, one of the hardest thing is being responsible for, even a small team of 5 of their day-to-day lives, their salaries, their management, and the fact that, they put their future hopes and aspirations into you. Obviously it's a great responsibility. And, I'm going to quote Spider-Man here, but, with great powers come great responsibility as well. And, that has been, I've definitely had more gray hair in the last 2 years than I've ever done. And that's been the most challenging. In a way, it's inspiring as well. It's obviously also, if we if we go on the path that we think we are on, we could transform the entire industry. We could transform our clients' lives, but also all the people who are, working with us as well. And that's obviously very, very inspiring as well.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, thinking about one thing that you know now that you wish you'd known at the start. You mentioned earlier the fact that your customers really understand the problems they've got. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Absolutely. So when I started the journey, I had a number of ideas based on my experiences and my interpretation of the world. And a lot of these were good theories, but actually, what really customers wanted was slightly different. And that's been a journey overall to get that lesson internalized. And now I've kind of come to a conclusion that, what I think does not matter. What I read does not matter. It's actually my customers. They are the only thing that matters. What they want, they shall get. And that's the mantra I live with every day. And that's been the kind of the first lesson. And then if there's a second lesson I could add is when I started this journey, I was fixated with VC and funding journeys and listening to this company raised $10 million and $100 million and Series B and D and what have you. And so I very much thought of started building something to do for investors. And what I've realized is actually build a good business. Build a good business with good clients, with good product that people want, and everything else kind of takes care of itself. You cannot build for VCs and investors, and with that in mind, you need to build a good P&L which has good unit economics, is in the right industry, and is going to endure regardless of external funding and what have you. And that's again a lesson I've internalized that we want to build a good business going forward.
I love it. There's you learn so many lessons as a founder on the founder journey and different lessons at each stage of the business's life cycle. As you have a small team, you learn lessons about team leadership, and then you learn lessons about company leadership, and you learn lessons about customers and customer markets and customer market cycles and investors and investor, all the activities that happen in the investor world and investment cycles and all those kind of things. Yeah, you mentioned before that the customer is the center of your focus and the product focus. You're building a SaaS platform, so a single instance multi-tenant platform. How do you make sure that when a customer says something that you fit that into your SaaS strategy so that you don't end up with multiple bespoke products, but rather one product that is relevant to the entire market?
No, that's a great question. And it is a question I get hammered on by the board quite frequently and recently as well. No, it's incredibly important to have the discipline, right? Because every customer wants slightly different things. And obviously, you cannot create a unique bespoke product for every single customer as well, because that's not how SaaS works. You want to build it once and sell it 100 times. That has to be the central tenet of the product philosophy.
Maybe 1,000 times, 10,000 times.
Absolutely. Not 100 times, a million times even. But the thing that's kind of kept us in, and the way I am now thinking about product philosophy is two things. First is, what does that core product look like, and how focused do we want to be with that product? And I think that's very clear to us that it cannot be 5 or 6 different types of modules and products. The core product has to be very, very focused. And then you can add, specific features and specific improvements that are going to add value to not just one unique customer, but, all your customers as well. And, those are the key sort of data points that we are thinking about in the product roadmap. The second part is the TAM itself. So, if you're going to create a new module or a new feature, what does this mean for how many existing and new customers can we sell this to? And what does this mean from a build perspective and from a monetization perspective? And if it makes sense in terms of the ROI, then it's a no-brainer, and we should sort of go after it. And then the last one is just unlocking specific clients and markets. So again, it goes back to that TAM and how much can we monetize this new module or feature. Again, if it's kind of big enough, then it's worth a discussion. But again, we need to think about this all the time and not just sort of chase after every single module or feature that that gets thrown at you.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, right? Being disciplined as an entrepreneur, being focused allows you to, I guess, really penetrate a particular niche and solve a clear problem and demonstrate traction. And that gives you both the financial capacity, but also the customer endorsement to scale to solve additional or, ancillary or complementary parts of the problem space. And customers always have opportunities for you to go left and right.
Yep.
That's the sign of a great provider, right? Like if a customer comes to you and says, "Hey, Shan, we love what you're doing. Could you also help us with X?" That's an endorsement that what you've done with your core product is valued, and the way you've done it is valued, and the relationship you have with the customer is valued, and the price that you're providing that product for is also fair, right? And so great problems to have as a founder. It's a timing thing because being disciplined around when you move there makes a big difference to the overall momentum of the company. Mate, what's been a pivotal moment or a breakthrough that's changed the trajectory of the company?
The biggest pivotal moment has been AI agent technology by far. I think it's about 12 to 14 months ago, we kind of started hearing about the AI agent technology coming. And, there was lots of blogs and lots of YouTube podcasts, which sort of talked about it. And we actually were in a slightly different vertical and market at the time. And it was a pivotal moment for us because we could have gone further down that route, or we could pivot at that time into slightly different market and product with this new technology. And I think the AI technology, when I sort of heard about it, when I understood it a bit more, and so really internalized what it meant, that was like, this is pivotal. We need to be on this technology. We need to understand it. And I actually went into a deep founder mode for about 4 months, where I have a technical background, but I had been working predominantly on the commercial side to really understand technically what this means, what are the possibilities, and how can we integrate this into our tech stack. And just spending that time for those few months really helped me understand it and reshape the product as it is. And that's what led us down the ESGagent.ai path. And now that whole pivot has been extremely successful, and we are on the kind of right path to keep growing and becoming a generational company.
AI is everywhere, and everyone's hearing that AI can do everything. Right? What's to stop another AI company coming along tomorrow and solving the same problem you're solving? What is it that you've done that gives you a good, I guess, commercial and technical moat that will allow you to win in this market?
Great question. So first one is, if you're making an AI company, and if you want to make a really good AI company, the key is actually to use as less AI as possible. And I'll tell you why. AI is actually it's an amazing technology, right? Like, we are seeing it everywhere. Everybody's using it in some certain way or form. But it still has its weaknesses. It still hallucinates. It's still unreliable, depending on how you use it. when you use it, and in what context you use it. So a kind of a key learning for us has been that inherently for our product, we just need a good architecture, which is based on traditional databases, which is based on traditional workflows. And we use AI in only certain contexts where it actually adds, amazing insights and amazing information, which we won't be able to do with the traditional techniques and toolbox that we have. And knowing that has been a journey which you've overtaken in the last 12 months. And we feel that the way we've created that architecture really lends itself to really good consistency and really interesting insights and value addition, which we are now seeing on the product. So that, the first thing is that being on that journey. The second thing is really being embedded in deep workflows of your customer, right? And anybody actually with AI, anybody can create the next version of ESG agent and probably, in 3 months or 6 months or whatever, right? If they put enough resources at it. So what will help us keep our customers, and what helps us become, what's our right to play? Our right to play is literally we are deeply embedded in our customers' workflows. We are plugged into their ERP systems. We are plugged into their data lakes. In many cases, they have actually replaced ESG analysts with our technology. And we now know hold the knowledge, the workflows, and the way this company works. And it's very, very hard to replace that unless we massively mess up and and then the client kind of goes off, right? So that's our second, right to play. And third is, again, being that customer focused. We are actually solving for problems that customers have rather than anything we want to impose or how we think the way the industry should be. If we are solving their painful points, then, it is, the customers will keep coming back to us.
You're interpreting some pretty detailed and specific standards and instructions and compliance requirements, legislation. How much of that can you do in AI, and how much do you actually need a subject matter expert to guide, coach, configure the solution?
Yeah. So the answer is 80/20, right? So AI can actually do 80% of the work of taking any framework or any kind of standard and turn it into a set of evidences, controls, and governance areas. And it is a pretty good job as well. But we do need that 20% human input because some frameworks are actually too big, first of all. And so, AI cannot actually is still not powerful enough to really break it down and not hallucinate on them and put something meaningful. That's the first problem. Second thing is just knowing the company context, the industry context, and the regulatory context as well to interpret those controls into the right ones. And we just need that specialist input to have that right. And then the third one is slight adaptation that you need from client to client based on, again, the data workflows or how they keep their data and things like this. That's just an adaptation that we need to add in from an expert. But, pretty much 80% of the work is taken care of by the AI and 20% will be done by that human expert. But this way we can also be very confident that, what we're producing is very good and will hold up to much of scrutiny.
Yeah, I think it's really important for any emerging tech company, specifically one that's, AI, is the ability to demonstrate and give confidence to their customers that the work you've done to establish the standard and the controls and the evidence, there is no hallucination. It is an accurate representation and reflection of what's required and, what a customer is required to report against. So how do you make sure your customers feel really comfortable, confident that what your system represents is the actual standard?
So first one is in implementation, right? When we implement a framework for a company, we have the expert input into it who verifies and checks everything that goes into the AI system in the first place. So this way we've got the first guardrail and control. The second one is when we start mapping that to their documentation and files and what have you, we have a second layer of check where an ESG analyst will actually go in and actually read the file and say, okay, yes, this is correct. This, AI has mapped it in the right way. And so we do that right now for all the analysis that gets done, just because of while we're building that confidence in the system. And then the third one is on an ongoing basis, our expert continues to do random checks and random spot validations to make sure that whatever we are producing, meets all the requirements of how the legislation was intended to be.
And I imagine that the customer has the ability through the user interface to basically review each of the bits of content that AI has created and update it if they're not entirely happy, and the model learns from that.
Absolutely. So we also implemented reinforcement learning. We've got a knowledge graph that that learns over time as well. And then the third piece is actually the evidence train as well. So anything we say, let's say some an evidence gets a compliance of 75 out of 100. We actually give you the rationale of why it's 75 out of 100. Our validation failed on this particular topic, and this we couldn't find mention of this word in your file, and that's why. So everything is kind of traceable. It's not a black box, and you have transparency to look at that evidence chain.
I think at this stage in the adoption of AI, certainly in enterprise, the ability for a customer to get in and clearly see what AI has produced, to impact, to edit it if they want to, and to be able to have that transparency of how that's informed the reporting, is definitely something that will help to build confidence in the market. Mate, you've got a lot going on. You're building this highly capable company servicing really large clients. You've got a small team. How do you sustain your energy, your mindset, and your relationships, with your team, with your customers, your relationships at home? What's your secret sauce to getting some balance?
Yeah, it's been, as a first-time founder who's trying to learn on the job for the last 2 years, it has been a delicate balance. The good thing has been AI, actually. So the AI has made me 10 times more productive. So what I obviously still I need to sometimes work weekends and evenings and things like this. But just using AI, I'm able to do a lot more than I used to be able to do even 12 months ago. And this means that if I do my work in a focused way, I can get a lot done in those 40 hours in the office that I'm in. And this way, I can kind of keep startup in the office, and I can, focus on the personal life when I go home. And so this way, it's not impacting, personal life too much on the outside. And I'm thankful to AI in that way. And then the second thing is just having things in the weekends and to do with your family. So, for example, we always go on Saturdays to have a picnic, whether it be Noosa or Melanie or Gold Coast and all the amazing riches that Queensland has to offer to refresh the mind and spend some time with family. And then on Sunday mornings, I always play my cricket. So I'm part of a LMS tournament. We have a great team. We just became Division 3 champions for the second time. Thank you. This year. And it was a great demolition job in the final as well. It just happened 2 days ago. So, so always have that to look forward to, the net sessions and, team camaraderie and midship that you have in the cricket team as well. So, just having things outside of work to keep energy and motivation up.
I think, there's a good lesson for every founder in having things planned and scheduled, and having some sport or team activity or adventure activity that gives you that release and forces you to focus on something other than work.
Absolutely.
Because as a founder, you can easily spend your away from work time thinking about work. But if you're playing cricket, for example, or snowboarding or doing whatever you do, finding something that means that you have to focus, you have to be all in the sport, is a great way to recharge. Mate, you got a lot going on at Clean. ESG Agent as a product is really getting traction. Looks like 2026 will be a big year for you. What's coming up in 26, and how can people support you on your journey?
Yep, 2026 is going to be fantastic. Actually, the regulatory regime says that first tier one companies may need to start being compliant by the July 2026 timeframe. So we are very much looking forward to helping sustainability managers and ESG managers become AASB compliant. So if you are in that journey and you need external help to validate and help or how to become compliant, then please feel free to reach out. Happy to help in that journey. We are also fundraising at the moment, so we're doing a safe round with existing investors that participate, including yours truly. And so if you want to be part of that journey as well, feel free to reach out. Just talk to a few different investors, but happy to kind of take you in terms of where we are at and kind of what the plans are for the next 18 months.
Awesome, Shan. Hey, we're going to finish up with 7 rapid fire 1-word questions. So you got to choose one of the following: coffee or tea?
Tea.
Morning or night?
Morning.
Beach or mountains?
Mountains.
Books or podcasts?
Books.
Risk or routine?
Risk.
Gym or cardio?
Gym.
And lastly, legacy or lifestyle?
Lifestyle.
Yeah, cool. Shan, it's been great having you on 7 Questions. Thanks for sharing the journey that you're going on with ESGagent.ai. It's a cool product solving a really important problem for ESG and sustainability managers in that domain, and also safety professionals in the safety domain, giving them their time back from compliance reporting so they can focus on actually implementing the strategies that will improve safety, improve sustainability, and improve environmental outcomes for the companies they work for and the people they work with. Any final questions or comments before we head off today?
No, thank you so much for the opportunity. It's been a roller coaster of a ride with startups, as you can imagine. You've been on one yourself, but I think we're in a great place, and I think the next 18 months is going to include a lot of opportunities and an exciting journey ahead. So I'm very much looking forward to it.
Awesome, Shan. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of 7 Questions. If you'd like to learn more about the founders, you can get a link to the full show notes in the description below. Have a great day. We look forward to you joining us on the next episode.